And hello, welcome to Solo Playthroughs. We are going to Dawn of the Zeds 3rd edition for the first time for solo playthroughs, and I'm definitely excited about that. It is always a it's always a balancing game for me, and when I decide that I know a game enough that I feel like I have something to offer and I'm going to put it on the channel, and sometimes I put on a game a little bit too soon, like I did with Robinson Crusoe, and I had a big rule wrong, and sometimes it works out totally fine. So hopefully, if there's anything I'm doing wrong, anyone who's more experienced with this game, as always, please tell me in the comments. But I have been really excited about this game since I first started playing it. I really like it, and this is, I believe, the first time I purchased a game that I first learned about from one of my subscribers. So X Huntinator, this one is for you. In a very real sense, it is a very cool game. I really like the action economy. I like the strategic choices. I like the flavor of it. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but that does not mean it is not a very serious game. It is very cool in how it's organized. Every win is hard fought. It gives the player tons of opportunities to feel clever and to feel like they are doing something cool and fun and enjoyable, and I really enjoy it for what it is. So hopefully we can get a good playthrough on the channel. Now I'm going to be going in at not the base game. I'm going to go one level above that. And I did just get the expansion content, so I'm not going to have the expansion content loaded into this game, but in future playthroughs I will have the first 2 expansions included with all the rest. And for those who don't know, the first 2 expansions just give you a couple of extra characters, some extra event cards, some extra fate cards, and you can just shuffle all of that right in and just play it. So I will do that for the future, but I did not have enough time to really learn the expansion content enough for my taste in order to just throw it into this playthrough here. So let's go ahead and get set up. We will get the event card, the event deck set up, the instructions, well, with the instructions, the rule book, one of the 5 rule books with this game. If you go to the setup and epilogue book, it does a really good job of showing you the mechanics of how an event deck is constructed. So what we're going to do is all of the cards we're going to use are going to be the ones that have the blue banners up in the top left corner. And there are 4 chapters, and then there's an end card. So we're going to use one of these 2 end cards. Again, the expansions give you actually a third one with the blue corner, and then as we progress in future levels, in the future you will see other colors thrown into the mix, so there will be more and more variability and variety. Now, speaking of the levels, one of the things I really like about this game, from what I've read, from what I heard, it does seem that every level, it doesn't exactly mean you're progressing in difficulty as much as you're progressing in complexity. The first level, this level is hard. You will lose a lot, and it's just really fun doing it. I mean, I know people who are like, oh, I love Crusoe and I love losing and it's so great. No, Crusoe is never fun to me when I lose. This game is always fun to me. So it's cool. I really enjoy that about it. All right, I am going to roll the die. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The ending event will be that card. We will find out what that is later. Right, I didn't see it. The other one card just flipped over, I promise. I have no idea what it is. And now we are going to put on top of that the chapter 4 cards. So I say chapter. So this game is kind of like, one of the ideas in it is like it's like a movie, and there's a story that's being told about zombies, right? And it's super cool. So basically, the 4th chapter will have 3 of event cards, and then this special event card, which is brains, because who doesn't love some brains? Zombies really love brains, I guess. So we're going to shuffle this up, and we are going to put these 4 cards on top of the end card. We're going to take the chapter 3 cards. There are 4 event cards and then 1 special event card for chapter 3. We'll shuffle these up. And then chapter 2 has 6 event cards and the special event, so we'll get to that next. And then there's going to be 3 chapter 1 cards on the very top. And there is no special event card for the Chapter 1 cards. It helps if I have them all face the same way. There we go. Cool. So the game that we have, we will be dealing with 4 heroes we'll start with 4 out of the 5, and then there will be an event that we will be able to see all 5 at some point in this playthrough. So there are only 5. Oh, that was unfortunate. We'll get there eventually. There are only 5 heroes that have that blue banner on the top left. So those are the ones that you will play with in your first few games. And again, the expansions do add some more. So, all right, now here is the final 3 events for Chapter 1. And again, there is no special event. The special events are usually very bad for the players. And we'll take this event deck and we will put it over... always like... First time I put a game on the channel, it's always like, how do I want to do this? All right, we'll put this over here. That should work fairly well. All right, the other deck we will have is called the Fate deck. So there are only 9 Fate cards that have, again, that blue border. That is it's a cool system. It's very elegant, like how Victory Point Games put this together. So we'll have these 9 events. And I'm sorry, 9 Fate cards, and we will get to them as we go, guaranteed. So I'll put that here. All right. These are just these are the only tokens that we'll need for this first game on the channel, and we will explain those as they come up. I have a green bag. There were 31 Zeds in here, and I might as well go ahead and put these around. So the Zeds will range in strength from 2 to 9, and then there's another side of each of them that has other numbers that indicate strength once you start defeating them. And we'll put these out. So there are 4 tracks, and each track has a start space. So each start space will start with 1 Zed. So the Zed that starts in the suburbs track, which is the yellow track in this area, has a strength of 7. The Zeds that starts in the forest track, which is this area, this green track here, will have a strength of 5. The Zeds that starts in the mountain track will have a strength of 5 as well. And then the highway track, this will be moved in a little bit before we get started. The highway track will have a strength of 5 as well. So we get 3 5s and a 7. Now this bag are Super Zeds. And Super Zeds, we may or may not see them in this playthrough. We probably will see them. They are just the big bad brothers of the regular Zeds. They have special powers. I will have to look it up and refresh my memory as to what they all do. There are 10 of them, and they are all very different and very cool. So we'll put the Super Zeds over there, and we'll keep this bag right next to the board because we will need this a lot. Now, the heroes. So we're only going to start with 4 in play. Now the rules say you can choose who you want in a solo game, and then you just randomly pick the other 3. I don't have a big preference between these 5. It's like whatever, one of them is not playing, so I'm just going to roll the die, and the number I roll is the one I'm taking out of play to start the game. Right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5-sided, 5-sided die, 6-sided die. I rolled a 1. Deputy Schmidt, I love you, man, but you got to go, and we will hopefully see you again later. All right, the other thing we need to do, so I'll take Deputy Schmidt's little thing. Now, who are the characters that we have? So we have Sheriff Hunt. Sheriff Hunt is law enforcement. Each of the characters has a 2 strength sides, just like the Zeds units have a strength on one side and then another number on the other side. So this is 7 and 5. The player units have the same thing. So this is a 5 on the healthy side, and then once he's injured once, he becomes a strength of a 3. He has a couple abilities which we will go through as we go, but leadership is a special ability that he has that can give actions to civilian units. These are heroic civilian units. These are regular civilian units. And then he has a way that he can negate roughly half of the damage that he would take during a turn. He's allowed to do a long-range gunfire attack, but it does reduce his efficacy when he does that. And then he's also able to re-roll when he does a hand-to-hand combat. And again, we'll see all of that play out as we go. Next, we have Mr. Johnson. When he enters play, we're going to start and we'll do our supplies and our ammo in a little bit. We are going to have additional supplies and ammo because we start with him. He can set some traps, which is pretty cool. He can do some medicine, so he can do some heal actions, and that really helps keep our infection rate down. So there's a lot going on with him. He is a scavenger. All right, then we have Captain Piazza. She's a badass. So she's military. She has 1 extra movement when she moves. So most of the heroes only move 4. She can move up to 5, and then she does a lot of long-range gunfire attacks. Not only does she do a lot of them, she prefers them. Her strength of her gunfire attacks, usually your strength is determined by the number that is on your little token here, but with her, her strength is solely determined by how many spaces away she is. Now that could be augmented by other abilities of other characters, as we'll see, but for the most part, she'll have higher strength attacks when she is not exactly adjacent when she's shooting gunfire. Right? Gunfire attacks happen adjacent. Hand-to-hand attacks happen when you're on the same space as the Zeds, as obviously we will see. She is able to, because she wants distance between her and the Zeds, after a gunfire attack, she can always withdraw and move further away from a Zeds, which is nice. And then she can also do what's called ammunition crafting. That special ability of hers is she can actually spend 2 actions to do a gunfire attack without actually having to spend an ammo, right? So, because ammo is a very scarce resource, as we shall see as well. Mayor Hernandez is kind of a wuss. His strength is only a 2, and then when he's injured, his strength is only a 1. That's not great. But he does have some other perks that are nice. So, key to the city, you can add +1 to all forged die rolls made by every other player unit in a town or town center space. Town center space is the middle. The town spaces there are 4 of them. There is 1 for each track. So the forest track, again, the green one, the mountain track, the highway track, and the suburb track all have a town space. And then there's a town center space. So if you're foraging in any of those spaces, which we'll talk about as we go, then you will get +1 to all your rolls. And higher rolls is always good, better for the players. And I really like how they streamlined the system to make that be the case. Higher is always better for you. Lower is always better for the Zeds, period. All right. Now, Mayor Hernandez has 2 of these special tokens. We saw the first special token with Mr. Hunt over here, the sheriff, but now the mayor has Citadel, which he can give a gunfire action to another player. And he also has motivational speech. Now, the Citadel and leadership can be used once a turn. This motivational speech can only be used once a game. And when it is used, what it does is it gives every other player unit, so either civilians or heroes in a town space, including the town center, they get to receive 1 action. Right? And you can place the motivational speech marker on this card to remind you that it's there. But again, once you use it, everyone gets an action. And then this comes out of the game. There are no, like Mayor Hernandez, it takes him a while to come up with a good motivational speech. So once he's done, he's done. He needs like weeks off to come up with another speech, clearly. So we only get to use that motivational speech once, which is fine. All right, now we have our 3 heroic civilians, right? So we have regular civilians here, and then the heroic ones are regular ones, but they have better powers, right? So we will they have their special cards to explain their special powers. The regular civilians don't have a card. What you see is what you get. They have this card here, I think. Yes, civilians reference card is there. They're boring. They all move 2. Sometimes they have more strength than others, and sometimes they get augmented abilities. But for the most part, we don't have to worry about their special abilities. They are what they are, right? The heroic civilians are all very different. I really, really like them. They add a lot to the game. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's roll to see which one we end up with. I rolled a 1. We get the Savior Corpse. Not my favorite of the 3. I find them harder to learn how to win with, but this will be a fun challenge. Like, hopefully we can get my first win with the Savior Corps on the channel. The Savior Corps are medics, really. I mean, they do a lot of healing. So between them and Mr. Johnson, we can have some advantages in the healing department here. All right. So heroic civilians, regular civilians only move 2 whenever they use an action to move. The heroic civilians move 3. So once per action, the unit may spend its field med stations, which is this token, and use 1 supply, which is marked by this little sandwich looking thing, to perform a heal action on a unit in its space or in an adjacent space. And again, there's some benefits to that beyond just the healing, in that we can keep this infection level as low as possible, right? I mean, you're dealing with zombies. The more you interact with them, the more infection spreads. And if we can do some healing, we can keep that infection level lower and lower and lower, which will help prevent future zombies, right? So it's a cool little thing going on. All right. During each eat phase, which we'll get to, you get to add +1 to your rolls as long as you have the save your corpse in play. And when they enter play, we get additional supplies. So let's set up the regular civilians, and then we could actually set up our supplies and our ammo. It's a pretty cool mechanic for that. All right, so I'm going to roll a 7-sided die. One of these 7 regular civilian units will not be in the game, so I'm just going to roll a 7-sided die to figure out which one. It's number 7. Of course, it is the strongest one. I swear I take that one out of the game half the time, which makes no sense because it should only be a 7th of the time considering I'm always rolling a die, but that is fine. So now we're going to take the other 6. I'm going to roll a die. It's a 2, so that's going to go here. I have 5 left, 2. So these are both strength 2, so they're both pretty garbage. We get number 4. That's a strength 3. I'm happy to see that over there. I rolled a 6. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to go there. And then the last one over here is 6. So the final one will just start in town center with all of the heroes. And we'll take these 2. Farmingdale Furies and the VFW Local 12 will stay over there. And that is fine. Now you see these Defiant markers. So all the spaces that have these civilians are the villages in Farmingdale, right? We're playing in the city of Farmingdale, trying to save our city from the zombie hordes. All right, so we have the village of East Iraq is over here, the village of Beauville, the village of St. Thomas, the village of Left East Pass, and the village of Ingeborg. And I'm sure I butchered more than one of those names. Now what's happening, this Defiant means that they are defiant. They're like, they've heard about these zombies, but they're not leaving their towns. Their grandfather built that town and their village, they're gonna stay there forever. Until, of course, a zombie enters and then they're like, oh crap, let's leave. So what the Defiant marker means is that we can't move these civilians until there is some engagement with a zombie, and then the Defiant marker goes away, and then we can move these, we can use actions, either actions directly or indirectly. We can use actions to have these civilians kind of move around the board and maybe be better positioned than where they currently are. All right, so setup's almost done. We just have to figure out how many supplies we have. I'm going to roll these 2 dice. Ding, I rolled a 5 and a 3. So a couple things happen. We are going to get 8 supplies. And don't forget, we're going to get more supplies too. We get 2 more supplies because we have Mr. Johnson. And we get 2 more supplies because we have the Savior Corpse. So we have a total of 12 supplies. So this track goes from 1 to 10. And then on the flip side, we have a +10. So now I know that we have 12 supplies. And now I'm going to figure out how much ammo I have. So ammo, we're going to take the number 6. We're going to subtract the lowest of these 2 numbers. That's 3. And that's our starting ammo. And that is augmented by Mr. Johnson, who when he is in our starting group, we end up with 3 more ammo. So we will start the game with 6 ammo, which is not enough. And that's fine. So when Mr. Johnson enters the game later, if he wasn't one of our starting units, if he entered the game later, we would get the 2 and the 3. Because we start with him, we get the 2 and a 3 when he starts the game with us. So that is our setup, and we are going to go right into the game. So we have our handy dandy player aid up here. This is great. I'd leave it there. It's awesome. You'll see me use it a lot. We have the sequence of play. The first thing we're going to do is draw an event card. What is the event card? Well-armed civilians. Now, each of these event cards has 5 phases. Because we are not playing a cooperative game, we are going to ignore, or I think it's a cooperative game. I also think it's used in later stages. It's not used in this game. So we are going to totally always ignore the tab for the 4R. Then we're going to go to the next phase. The next phase is the infection phase. It just says no. All right, we skipped that phase. Eat. So we need to eat one of our supplies. So our supplies are going to go from 12 down to 11. Now we go to the Zeds phase. The Zeds phase has two symbols next to it. One is the symbol for the forest track, and one of them is the symbols for the mountain track. So we need to activate both of those tracks in order. We're going to activate the forest track. If there was not a Z unit on the forest track, we would add a Z unit to the start space. But since there is a Z unit, we will activate the track, and each Z's unit on there will move one forward toward the town center. Now, these tracks are cool in that the start spaces they represent like this amorphous large amount of land. So you can't like shoot into the start spaces. You can't go into the start space for hand-to-hand combat. You really can only start fighting with the Zeds once they leave the start space, and now they are in the rest of the track. Each track goes from 0 to 6, so there's 7 spaces on the track where combat can take place. If at any point a Zed unit enters town center, game over, you are done. Farmingdale is a big zombie mess, and just better put the game away or try again. That is how that goes. All right, we are now going to activate the mountain track. So this Zed is going to move to number 6, and he is dangerously close to our defiant civilians over in Lefty's Pass. They are in for a rude awakening. All right, we are now going to go to the next phase, which is the action phase. At the beginning of this phase, we get 2 actions. We will read the flavor text here at the beginning of this phase. Or the instructions, I should say, not exactly flavor text. At the beginning of this phase, place the well-armed marker on any regular civilian's unit in play until it ends up in a cemetery. It's just like so assumptive, right? It's like until it dies, it's gonna die. That unit receives a 1 shift in all hand-to-hand and gunfire combat. We will figure out what that means once we start getting into actual combat. So I'm going to put this event card right here. And this is our event card for this turn. So I'm going to take the well-armed marker, and here is this little, token that I can put on top of one of the civilian units. And on the other side, it has the exact thing of what it does. This is a very well-designed game. It's very cool. The instructions could be better, but the game itself is very, very cool. All right, where do I want to put this? I'm going to give these defiant civilians up here that little +1. So they are a well-armed machine up there, and that will really help them as this guy gets closer and closer. All right, so what am I doing in this action phase, right? So I have 2 event actions, and I have this player action. Now there's as many player actions as there are actual players in the game. So this is actually me playing by myself. So we only get 1 of these player actions, and you can spend actions on whatever character you want to do whatever abilities they may have, right? So, these tokens, obviously we're not doing motivational speech. Citadel is going to be useless because we can't do a gunfire attack from, I don't think I explained this earlier. So Citadel is, once per action phase, you can spend the Citadel marker to give a unit in the town center a free gunfire attack. But obviously there's no Zeds close enough to do a gunfire attack too, right? Captain Piazza can only even go 3 spaces away, and no one else can go as far as her, at least not in the starting characters. So Citadel is going to be kind of useless for us. Now we have leadership. All right, leadership. He can spend his leadership action marker to give 1 civilians or refugees unit in the space on or next to him 1 free action. Cool. So let's spend that. Now, what could I have someone do? I could have a civilian. That could be heroic or a regular civilian. I could have that unit move, or I could just have it forage. Why don't I have it forage? Why not? Like, I don't really know where I want to send the Savior Corps yet, and there's probably no point sending this civilians unit out into the world kind of blindly, right? I don't really see a trouble spot on the board just yet. So what we're going to do with foraging. So foraging, there's a chart up on the player aid that the rules of foraging depend on where you're at. Right now, we're in the town center. So we're going to roll 1 die because the civilian units only roll 1 die when they're foraging, and I rolled a 6. Cool. So now I had Mayor Hernandez, who would have given me +1 to all my forage rolls. Don't even need it. I got a 6. So I can take a supply or a ammo. I would love an ammo. Thank you very much. Sheriff Hunt's ability to boss the civilians around yielded us 1 extra bullet, and I'm happy about that. Now, Sheriff Hunt's ability, the things that you do when you're just like, oh, I think I know how to play this game. I was using Sheriff Hunt's ability on the other heroes. You can't do that. That's a no-no, but I had some really nice combos when I was doing that, but then I realized I was just cheating for a while. So, but you can only use it on civilians, and that is fine. What do I want to do now? So let me get Piazza in a place. Maybe we can start firing some shots with her. So I'm going to use this player action, and now I can go up to Piazza's movement. Now her movement is on her card. She can move 5. The other heroes only can move 4. The heroic civilians can move 3, and the regular civilians can move 2. But Piazza, she's special, so she's going to move 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. She ends up on the lucky strike mine. And now we're going to use another action. We're going to fire a bullet. So we're using one of our ammo. So what's her attack going to be? Well, her strength isn't determined by what's on her token, how you normally determine strength for combat. In this gunfire, we're using her card, Elite Sniper. Her long-range gunfire attack depends on how far away she is. If she's 2 spaces away, 1, 2, she's going to do a gunfire attack strength 4. Awesome. She rolls a 7. What does that do? We go down on our little chart. So we have the gunfire chart. Up here is the strength of the attack. Down here is what we rolled. I rolled 2 dice. We are doing a gunfire attack strength 4. Go down to here. Because I rolled a 7. So that's going to be 2 damage to this dude. And in addition, I am thinking about, do I want to use Overwatch and back up? Nah, it's fine. I'll hang out where I am. That 2 damage was nice. The last action, yeah, what the heck. Let's do another gunfire attack of Piazza. So we use the last action, another ammo. We're going to roll. We're doing a gunfire attack of 4. Let's see if we can't wound this Zeds. And we rolled a 10. That's awesome. 3 damage. This guy is going to flip. So these units, you'll see over here, they have heart, heart, and a flip. So basically, the first 2 damage you did in the first gunfire attack wounded it twice. And now the 3rd point of damage is going to flip it. And now we have 2 more points of damage, which we will put on top. The strength of this Zed unit went from a 3. I went for a 5 to a 3. And it is 1 damage away from destruction. So we are going to we're going to trigger the Overwatch, and Piazza is going to back up. Now we'll have her stay on Lucky Strike. Why not? We'll have her stay on Lucky Strike. I like that better. All right, because the mine, you can do some foraging, and it's a lot easier to get bullets from the mine than the other locations where you could forage. All right, that is fine. So we get to we've done the action phase. We go to the housekeeping phase. I'm going to refresh Sheriff Hunt's leadership ability. I'm going to refresh our player action. Now you notice I have these cards on the board. These spaces, the super weapon we're not using in this game, in this level, and this Jal and Zeds actions crap, this is for the competitive game, which from what I understand isn't very good, but somebody can definitely correct me if I'm wrong. I've never played it, just haven't seen good things about it. So I just put this player action over that little icon there because we don't need any of that area of the board for this game. We just need these tracks here, and then obviously the event actions, the table, just to kind of keep track of how many actions we have left. So housekeeping is done. I'm going to discard that event, and now we go right to the next turn, and we pull a new event card. So this event is Rule 7 Cardio. We're going to come down here. So we're skipping the 4R stage. We're going to do the infection rate stage. Now, infection has 2 dice. That means we need to roll dice, and we just need the result of that die roll, I rolled a 9, to be greater than our infection level. Our infection level is 0. I think we accomplished our goal. We're fine there. The eat phase, we do have to eat another supply. So we go from 1, or 11, because it was the plus 10 plus the 1 over here. So we have 10 supplies left. And now we go to the Zeds phase. So the Zeds phase has the suburbs track listed twice, but it says at the beginning of this phase, place 1 new Zeds unit on an empty start space of your choice if possible. Otherwise, place it is possible, so I won't need to read the otherwise. So I will choose to put this on the mountain track because I got Piazza over there. I feel pretty good about things. This one's almost dead. So we got a strength 6 Zeds on the start space of the mountain track. Cool. Now it says, if and when a Zed unit enters a space occupied by any civilians or heroes unit this turn, you may freely retreat that unit instead of engaging in hand-to-hand combat. All right, so we're going to activate the suburbs track twice. The first time we activate it, ding. We go to 6th Street and we'll activate it again, ding. The Zeds enters the village of East Irek. The defiant marker goes away. Again, they've no longer think this defiance thing they were doing made much sense in the face of an actual zombie. No kidding. So once there, though, we have two options. We can do a hand-to-hand combat. The infection rate would go up, blah, 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 all the stuff. Or they could just freely retreat. That's fine. Because of that event, let's take advantage of our cardio, and we're going to go to Farmingdale University right next door. Mr. Zeds, you can have our village. We really weren't that defiant after all. So cool. So there was no combat. We go to the next action. The next phase. The next phase is the action phase. We get one event action. That's what that number is about. And now we have to decide how we want to spend this turn. So I'm going to do the leadership. And I'm going to... So this is just like knowledge of the game and knowing what's coming up. I'm going to use Sheriff Hunt's leadership ability to send the Savior Corps up to the campground. All right, they have a movement of 3. They are a civilian group, a civilian unit. So they're a heroic civilian unit, but they're still a civilian unit. Then they're going to say, thank you very much, Mr. Sheriff Hunt. We're going to go over there and hang out in that campground to see if we can't be useful. They will be, I promise you. All right, now what are we going to do? I could... Yeah, it probably makes some sense. I could use both. So let's use Captain Piazza's ammunition crafting ability. So I have one player action and I have this action. I don't really have much else to do with these actions. Nothing like stands out as a really especially good idea right now. So I'm going to take both of those actions and I'm going to do a gunfire attack 4. Because I'm still 2 away from that unit, and let's wipe that guy out because we can. And I roll a 10. I wasted a big roll because I only needed 1 damage, and that is fine. So that unit is destroyed and off the board, and that is the end of our action phase. We didn't have much to do. So we're going to do housekeeping. That refreshes. That refreshes. We're going to discard that event. New event card coming in. All right, hunting lodge located. So phase 4R, we skip. Infection phase, we skip. Eat. Eat phase has a die. So if we had any units in the hospital bed, we would roll a die, and as long as the number I rolled is more than the number of units I have in any of these 3 hospital beds, which we'll see in a bit, then probably at least then we would have to lose another supply. But because I rolled more than a 0, amazing, not by much, I guess, we don't have to worry about any of our supplies being used up this turn in this phase. So now we go to the Zeds phase. We're going to activate the mountain track. So I'm glad I killed that guy. We were able to avoid a hand-to-hand combat for at least a little bit longer. And then we have to activate the suburbs track. Well, a little bit longer, wasn't all that long after all, because this guy is going to go in here. Hand-to-hand combat has to ensue. We don't have that event which is allowing us to freely retreat. So since hand-to-hand combat's about to happen, the infection rate goes up to 1, and now we have to do a hand-to-hand combat. So the Zeds have a strength of 7. Our civilians here have a strength of 2. So that is 7 is 3 times stronger than 2, or 3 times more than 2. So we are going to at least 3 times more than 2. It's 3.5. Math majors out there. And then we are going to start in this column. So just like the gunfire column where you had the strength and then the amount you rolled, this chart, the gunfire table, which had the strength and then the strength of the gunfire attack and then what you rolled. This one you have the relative strength of the Zeds versus the humans along the top, and then you have the what's rolled on the side. So the relative strength of the Zed versus human is Zeds times 3. However, the civilians, are on the Farmingdale University spot, which does have this little handy dandy symbol, which means that we get a shift. So we determine the relative strength and then we shift it over to Zeds times 2. Still isn't great, but it's better than Zeds times 3. So we will roll this. I rolled an 11. Woo, that's bananas. All right, so Zeds times 2, but the humans come out of nowhere and they give 2 damage to this guy, and he is forced to retreat. Whenever you go on this table, wherever you have the number that's highlighted in, that's like a red back with a white number, that means that the Zeds are retreating. If it is a white back with a red number, so red back and white number, Zeds retreating. A white back with a red number means the civilians have to retreat. Civilians always retreat, or any player unit always retreats toward town center, and any Zed unit always retreats toward whatever the track start space is. All right. So even though they won that combat, because again they were so overpowered, the civilians still took 2 damage. So the first damage they would take would go there. Now, unlike the Zeds units, the civilians don't have 2 hearts and a flip. They have 1 heart and a flip. So that 2 damage is enough to make this unit already flip to its weaker side, and its amazing strength of a 2 now becomes an even more amazing strength of a 1. So that's not great. But hey, we won the combat and got 2 damage on a very strong Zeds unit, so I am happy about that. So now we go back to the event card because we finished the Zeds phase, and we go to the action phase. So it says at the end of this phase, +2 ammo if a player unit is in the campground. Place the goodies marker in the space as a reminder. Goodies! So that's why I have the Savior Corpse there. They will prove useful after all. Shocker of all shockers. We get 3 event actions. That's going to go there. And now we can decide how we want to spend them. Yikes. So this civilian unit is struggling. We still have not moved up in the... We're still not really in harm's way in either the highway track or the forest track yet. Obviously, that can change very quickly in this game. So I think it makes... Makes some sense to use Piazza to try to cut this guy down a little bit. We still have Sheriff Hunt and Mr. Johnson chilling in the town center, which is fine. So he can move 4. That's interesting. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to use Sheriff Hunt's leadership ability to have the civilian unit that's still in there do a forage action. Town or town center is still at the top. So this is a 3. So that roll of a 3, because of Mayor Hernandez, can become a roll of a 4. And then we can gain a supply. So a roll of a 4 or 5 is a supply. A roll of a 6 is a ammo. Ammo is obviously better, but I will take the supply, and we go from 10 to 11 on the supply line. All right, so that was leadership ability. Now we're going to use this player action. We're going to turn that over to the spend side, and we're going to move Sheriff Hunt to 3rd Street. And then we're going to use one of the event actions and the piece of ammo, and Sheriff Hunt is going to fire 2 spots away from 3rd Street to 5th Street. Now, he can make a gunfire attack from 2 spaces away, but he has a shift to the negative as a result, but that is fine. So he was doing a gunfire attack of a 5 because that's his strength, but it shifts to a gunfire attack of a 4 because he's firing 2 spots away. And with that attack of a 4, we rolled a 5, and that is 1 damage, and that is fine. That is exactly what I wanted, to flip that guy from his strength 7 side to his strength 5 side. All right, so we have this guy now on the weaker side, and that's good. Now let's decide how we want to do the rest of this. We're gonna get 2 ammo at the end of the round. It'd be great if we can flip this guy because he is the strongest Zeds unit on the board. So let's do this. We're going to use an event action and an ammo from Captain Piazza. It's a strength of 4 because she's 2 away. Oh, I rolled a 2. That's garbage. And I'm going to use the last action, and I'm going to actually forge with Captain Piazza. So she's going to roll 1 die. Now, she's not going to Mayor Hernandez, but a 4 or a 5 when you're at the lucky strike mine, you will get an ammo. And if she rolls a 6, we'll get 2 ammo. I think this is good. I rolled a 5. Let's get an ammo. And unfortunately, we did not make any headway in hurting this guy. But, you know, it is what it is. We cut our losses when I rolled that amazing roll of a 2. So we go to the housekeeping phase. This refreshes. We discard this event card, and now we go to chapter 2, the first card off the top. Chapter 2, and you know it's chapter 2 because of those 2 stars right beneath our feet. So phases, we skip the 4R phase, we go to the infection phase. We've only had 1 hand-to-hand combat, and it was a doozy. It was ridiculous. So we have to roll these dice, and it needs to be higher than the infection level of a 1. We succeeded. Shocker. We go to the eat phase. It says 0, so we don't have to worry about eating anything. The Zeds phase. At the beginning of this phase, we make a fate draw. So we're going to make a fate draw. Now, there's a lot of stuff on this card, but we're just going to look at the top for now. Where? Mountain. Cool. So we're going to select any civilians or hero unit on the fated track. We're selecting any civilian or hero's unit on, oh, my bad, at the end of the last round, goodies goes away and I get 2 more ammo. That's fine. All right, so at the so the fated track, and we are going to immediately suffer a hand-to-hand attack on it an equal to column. So how do I want to do this? If it's defiant, it's no longer defiant. We still get normal terrain shifts, etc. I think it makes sense to attack. The Savior Corps can heal themselves. So I think it makes sense to allow this attack on the mountains to happen to the Savior Corps. So what's going to happen is, so we're doing an attack based on the event and the equal to column, and then it's going to shift to human advantage because of the terrain shift, right? So it is a hand-to-hand combat. So it counts as a hand-to-hand combat. So we get a normal infection bump. So now we're at infection level 2, and I'm rolling this, and we'll see what happens. I rolled an 8. So an 8 would be 3 damage to Zeds and 1 to the player unit. So that's fine. So obviously it just, there was no actual Zeds drawn here. This is just, it was beneath our feet and it attacked us and it did 1 damage to us is effectively what happened, and that's fine. Now we have to go to the fate card. So we carried out the event. We do the fate card. The fate card says hold for later. So there are 2 kind of fate cards. There are hold for laters, which are good, and there are play immediately, which are bad. Hold for later is in green. Play immediately is in red. They make it really, 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 really easy. So community organizer, town center, join the survivors. Oh, this is a very lucky card to get early. So play during the action phase to place a new, available, regular, or heroic civilians unit of your choice in the town center. Yes, please. So that we can hold on for later, and we will now go back to the Zeds phase. We're activating the highway track. So this unit moves here. We're activating the suburbs track. This unit moves here. Yikes. So hand-to-hand combat, infection level up. It is Zeds times 3. Ooh, terrain shift. It's Zeds times 2. It's probably the end of our civilian units here. Well, we rolled an 8. Ooh, come back there. We rolled an 8. So with that 8 goes down, 1 damage to the Zeds, 2 damage to the civilian units. Now, I could make a saving roll. If I made a saving roll, if I rolled a 4, 5, or 6, this guy would go to the hospital. No thanks. We're just going to say bye-bye. That was nice knowing you, Mr. 2 civilians, but you are no longer helpful to our cause, and we will remember you fondly forever. Now, if you care a lot about min-maxing your score in this game, you probably all know me by now. I don't really care much about score. I just like to achieve the goal. Then you would want to have every unit be saved at all times. However, if you do a saving roll and you succeed, then the infection rate goes up and a whole bunch of other stuff can happen. And then it might cause you to have to eat more in the eat phase. So I don't go nuts trying to save everything, although it is a strategy that we can talk about in the comments if you really want to. All right, so we have activated every Zeds unit on the suburbs track. It was just at 1, and now we'll activate the unit on the mountain track. So this goes here. It causes a hand-to-hand combat. So this goes up because of that. Yeah, we did that. I'm just making sure because I did it once for this, once there, once there. So we're at right. So we're infection level 4, and now it is this defiance, and they come away, and it goes to Zeds times 3 because it's a 6 to a 2, and goes to Zeds times 2. So this again, we've had a bunch of bad matchups so far. I roll a 3. That's garbage. That is 4 damage to civilian unit. Again, not making a saving roll. They can go bye-bye over there. Yikes. So we are now going to go to the action phase, because that was a disaster of a Zeds phase, and we will get 2 event actions along with our player action, and that's fine. And I am going to play communally organizer because we are in the middle of the action phase, and we're going to discard that. So as play during the action phase, to place an available regular or heroic civilians unit of your choice at the town center. I am going to choose. I mean, there is an argument for both of these. So the 2 units that I'm looking at right now. So these are again the civilians units. I can't grab Deputy Schmidt, but I can grab the Farmingdale Furies, who are an amazing physical attack unit. They can't make gunfire attacks. They are tough, so they can cancel about 50% of the damage they receive, and they start with a strength of a 6. They're very, very strong. The VFW Local 12, however, their first gunfire attack every turn doesn't cause any ammo. Now their only strength is 3, but it's like no ammo. Gunfire is great, and it ignores retreats, forcing their Zeds to retreat instead. That could come in huge. So really torn here. I think looking at my overall situation, it probably makes more sense to bring in the VFW, but I really like the Furies. The Furies are fun. They're really fun. That 6 attack is really nice. And then you could heal them and whatnot. And they have a 4 movement, which is also can come in pretty handy as well. I think, yeah, I'll take the VFW local. The gunshots are just too. The gunshots without needing ammo are just too important, and they will enter town center and be chilling there for a little bit. We'll move the heroes over, and we'll put our heroic civilians next to each other. Okay. All right. So what are we doing now? I am going to go to the action phase. I'm going to use the leadership ability to have these defiant trespassers do a scavenging action or foraging action, and they can other namespaces that includes villages. So we obviously don't have Mayor Hernandez this thing, so we need a 4, 5, or 6 to get anything. We rolled a 5, we get another supply. Nice. Now we're going to use an ammo and this player action, and Sheriff Hunt is going to do a gunfire attack of a 5. So it's a 5 this time because it's adjacent. And we're going to roll 2 dice, and hopefully we can just take care of this guy once for all. We roll a 6. That is enough for 2 damage. This Zeds unit is defeated, and there are now no longer any Zeds on, temporarily at least, no longer any Zeds on the suburbs track. So that's good. So I have 2 more player actions. Well, I can do a couple things actually. So I have the Savior Corps. They're going to use their field med stations and take 1 supply, and they're going to heal themselves the 1 damage they took, and that's going to lower the infection level. So that goes down to a 3. Like to see that. Piazza's too close for a good attack. So what's she going to do? we are going to use one action for her to. Nah, I could forge with her. Put these. I got the VFW for a reason though. That's fine. We're gonna move with her. She's gonna move here, and then from there, we'll have her actually move here, and then from there we'll use this action and an ammo. She's gonna do an attack of a 4. I thought she wanted to do that. All right, rethinking Piazza. We'll forge with her while she's at the mine. It might be hard for us to get back there. Hopefully she can roll high. We rolled a 4, so that's 1 ammo. That was an action, by the way. And then we'll use another action for her to move, and we'll have her go to the campground where she can chill with the Savior Corpse. All right, so we're going to go to housekeeping. Ding, and ding. This gets discarded. We get to the next event. The next event called is the Zeds Disease Quickening. So we are going to do 4R phase. We skip. We do the infection phase. Infection level is only at a 3, so I need to roll higher than a 3. I rolled a 4. Woo! Okay. That healing action came in huge. Thank you, Savior Corpse. We are going to do an eat action. I have no units in the hospital bed, so I obviously rolled more than a 0. And now the Zeds. So the Zeds are going to be activating the highway and the forest track twice. The highway track once, forest track twice. At the beginning of this phase, make a fate draw. So we get our second fate draw. So first we're just going to look at where. Where says fewest Zeds units. We're going to place a new Zeds unit on the start track of the start space of the fated track. During this turn, for each regular civilians unit eliminated or sent to the hospital after its saving roll, place a new Zeds unit on the space where it was killed. That's not good. All right, so I get to choose. All right, fewest Zeds units is obviously the suburbs because they have 0. So we're going to put 1 unit there. Now we're going to activate the highway track. Highway track goes there. That causes the infection level to go up because of hand-to-hand combat. It is a strength of a 5 to a strength of a 2, so it is Zeds times 2, and then it's going to have a terrain shift to make it a Zeds advantage. All right, we're going to roll both these dice. I rolled a 6. What happens? So 1 damage to the Zeds and 3 damage to our poor civilians. So they are going to flip, and the third piece of damage is going to go on top of them like so. All right, now we go to the forest track. Oh, I could have actually looked at this. This was hold for later because I did the event, so we should have done this before I did that combat. That's fine. Play at the beginning of any phase or before any combat to place the civilian's leader marker on a regular civilian's unit until it ends up in the cemetery. That unit receives +1 in all its hand-to-hand and gunfire combat. Cool. So I have to hold on to this until the action phase, and then we will deal with that later. All right, so because it played the beginning of any phase, right? We're already in the middle or before any combat. So I guess I could have added it to this guy, but I wouldn't want to waste a civilian's leader on a guy that was just a civilian unit that was just a base of a 2 going in. We're activating the forest track. The first activation, we go from route 6 to route 5. The second activation is going to trigger another hand-to-hand combat. So another defiant marker comes off. There's only 1 left on the board. And a hand-to-hand combat means that this is going to go up again. So now we're at infection level 5. So it is a 5 to a 3. So it is Zed's advantage. And then the terrain boost of the St. Thomas's means that this goes to equal to, and then there's 1 more shift because again, this is the well-armed unit, so it becomes a human advantage. I know, we're trying something new. It's crazy. I roll an 8 with human advantage. That is 3 damage to the Zeds, and the Zeds has to retreat, and only 1 damage to our civilians, which is very cool. So we go to the action phase. We get 3 event actions. At the beginning of this phase, I'm going to take this fate card, and I'm going to add the civilian leader to our friends the civilians that were in town center that also have a strength of a 3 as a base, make them nice and strong, and that's good. And now we can figure out the rest of our actions. So I'm going to do the leadership ability on the civilians in Beauville, and we're going to just have them forage. We roll a 6, we get an ammo. That's a very fortuitous roll. Again, it's weird, like there's like no obvious place to start sending in the cavalry. We're kind of in control for the most part, which is good. Could be a good turn just to forage a lot. I'm going to spend 1 player action. Let's get these guys out of there. 1, 2. They could only move 2. I'm going to spend a player action to forage with Mr. Johnson. Now when he forages, he rolls 2 rolls. And he keeps whatever one he wants. So obviously I'll keep the highest. And if he rolls doubles, he gets the reward twice. So I rolled a 5 and a 1. I can turn that 5 into a 6. Since I'm at town center, 6 in the town center means I can get another ammo. So that works out well. I'm going to spend this action to move the Savior Corpse. 1, 2. Now remember, when Mr. Mayor and End is in town center, it doesn't cost anything to go there. So technically the Savior Corpse still have 1 more point of movement. So we'll move them here. Probably want to start healing those guys up, make sure they survive for the long haul. Oh, they still have that heal. I took that heal down last turn. I just forgot to refresh that. So we did do the leadership this turn. That's fine. Let me do that again. So I'm going to do this action. So 1, 2, 3. So the Savior Corpse moved twice, and then they're going to use their field action. We're going to spend a supply and their little token here. We'll flip that to spent, and we'll do a heal. Now they can heal. They can spend a supply, and they can do a heal on their location or next to them, and so it's on their location or adjacent, and that's cool. And they did that, and that means we lower the infection level 1 because of the healing action. Nice. So now we're going to go to housekeeping, refresh all the spent tokens. We're going to discard that event, and our next event is Suburbs Night Assault. Our infection level is a 4. I rolled a 4. Of course I did. So I rolled a 4. So what happens? We have an outbreak. So first step of the outbreak is we take what I rolled, and this gets subtracted. So I was at infection level 4. I rolled a 4. This goes down to a 0. And now we have to pull a fate card. I pulled where? Mountain. What's going to happen in the mountain? Well, I'm going to pull a new Zeds unit, and we put it at the village closest to town center. There's only 1 village on the mountain track, and that's Lefty's Pass. Lefty's Pass gets another Zeds. So now there's 2 Zeds in 1 space. That becomes a Zeds mob, and they move together as 1. They attack together as 1. Can be rather vicious. All right, so that's not great. Now, so again, we're still in the infection phase. I pulled this, and it said where mountain. Now it says play this card. Again, it's in red. What happens? St. Thomas's Historic Graveyard. So this is the plot twist. St. Thomas's Historic Graveyard bursts with undead. Place 2 new regular Zeds units as a Zeds mob on St. Thomas Village space. So me rolling this 4 was really gross, but that's fine. So this is going to go out of play. These guys enter St. Thomas's Village. Oh, guess what, kids? I'm already there. So that immediately triggers a hand-to-hand combat. Since hand-to-hand combat is going to be triggered, the infection level goes up, and now we have to do the hand-to-hand combat. Now, this is all still in the infection phase. It's crazy. So the Zeds have a combined strength of an 8. 8 to 3 is only times 2. It's close to 3. It's not there. So now we're going to do a terrain shift, which we will have during the infection phase. That gets us a Zed's advantage. And again, this is our well-armed civilians. So they are now get another shift. So it goes from Zeds times 2 all the way over to equal to. Hopefully we'll get a really good roll here. We rolled an 11. Woo! Ask and you shall receive. So 3 damage to the Zeds. And that means I can injure this guy. So 3 damage, 1, 2, and he flips. and then they retreat. So problemo, Zeds mob retreats. There is a stacking limit. You can't have more than 2 units in one space. Oh, before I forget, there's also one, so at 11, because it's equal to, there's still 1 damage to the civilians, but I got my Savior Corpse right there so they can do a healing action, which is nice. So they can't all fit in Route 5 because there's 3 of them. So what you do is you leave the strongest Zeds unit remain. They form a new Zeds mob, and the weakest unit goes all the way back to the next available space. All right, so that is fine. That was all the infection phase. We go to the eat phase. We eat 1 supply. We go to the Zeds phase. All right, we're going to be activating the suburbs track. At the beginning of this phase, we get +1 infection per unit on the per Zeds unit on the suburbs track, so that gets up to a 2. We place a new Zeds unit on the suburbs track start space, so we form a Zeds mob there, and then we are going to go for the rest of it. Now, defending units receive no terrain shifts during the Zeds phase. So we're activating the Zeds track. They move. That mob just goes to 6th Street, and that is fine. The action phase, we get 2 event actions. And I'm going to go for my actions. I'm going to use a field med stations, that action, and a supply. We're going to heal our civilian unit back up, and that lowers the infection rate, infection level. We have, I'm going to start chipping away at those guys for sure. We're going to use the leadership ability to do another forage action. It's worked so far. Nope, this time it doesn't. We rolled a 3. This 3 is not high enough to get us anything, so it was an unsuccessful forage, which is to be expected. We're going to spend this player action and an ammo to do a gunfire attack of a level 3 with Piazza against the Zeds mob that's in Lefty's Pass. Oh, shoot, do I want to do that? Sure. So a gunfire attack of a 3. Hoping for big numbers. I rolled a 2. Okay. So again, cutting our losses. It's not, you'll see in a second, I'm really hesitant to be leaving too much like just lingering damage tokens. If I can't flip, if I'm not confident I'm going to flip a Zeds, I don't want to. It's just a strategy that I've developed pretty quick with this game. But yeah, that's not great. That is not an ideal roll right there. What do I want to do? I'm going to spend, definitely getting crowded over there. The civilians have handled themselves well. I already have Sheriff Hunt over here. All right, I'm going to spend an action to send the VFW. 1, 2, 3. Is how they can only move 3. And then I'm going to spend an action to forage with Mr. Johnson. I rolled a 5 and a 1 because of Mayor Hernandez fighting him a 6, and we'll get another piece of ammo. All right, so my action phase is done. We're going to refresh everything in the housekeeping phase. We discard that event card, and we get the Mountain Knight Assault. Now, I'm really waiting for the special event to come forward, and it is seemingly now lower in this level, in this chapter than is ideal, but it's fine. So at the beginning of this phase, oh wait, my bad, we got to go to the Mountain Knight Assault. We're going to do the infection phase. I roll, oh, obviously it's only 1, 7's fine. We eat, we have no units in hospital beds, so that's fine. Zed unit, at the beginning of this phase, we get +1 infection per unit on the mountain track. There are 2, so this goes up from 1 to 3. And now we add a new Zeds unit to the mountain track. And then we activate the mountain track once. So we're going to activate it. This goes here. This goes here. We get 1 event action and 1 event action only, which is not great. What am I going to do? I'm going to use a leadership to do a forge with the civilians in Beauville. I rolled a 3. Again, unsuccessful foraging. we're going to use a player action and an ammo to fire with Captain Piazza at the Zeds mob that's in the Lucky Strike mine. And it's an attack of 4 now because they moved one step closer. I roll a 5. That is 1 damage. Put that on the 7 strength Zeds. It's part of that Zeds mob. And now I'll spend my last action and another ammo to do it again. And hoping for 7 or better, I rolled a 12. That will do. So the 12 is only 3 damage, but that's great. So we flip the strength, the 7 strength Zeds, and it becomes a 5 strength Zeds. And I'm going to use her Overwatch ability and have her back up. That's cool. So we go to the housekeeping phase. We're going to refresh this. We're going to refresh that. Notice we didn't have any ability to use the field med stations. We couldn't do anything to lower the infection rate. Now, one of the strategies is if we had tried to do saving rolls and maybe saved one of these guys, we could potentially have used some actions to do some healing in the hospital. So there's kind of a back and forth, but if we had saved them, then the infection rate would have been higher. So again, there's a give and a take and a nice little balance here as you try to work out your own way to beat this puzzle. All right, we're going to discard this event. Do we get the special event now? It is not the special event. All right, we are going to roll. The infection level is a 3. I rolled a 6, so we're good there. We go to the eat phase. I have to eat 1 supply. We go to the Zeds phase. At the beginning of the phase, we get +1 infection because there was 1 Zeds unit in the highway track. We are adding a new Zeds unit on the highway track start space. And then we activate the highway track twice. So 1, 2. And that's fine. So that's, oh, not fine. They're getting a little bit close to comfort here. So we have 1 event action again. 1 and only 1. So I'm going to spend the player action to move Mr. Johnson. And then I'm going to spend this action and an ammo to fire at Mr. Johnson. Now, Mr. Johnson only has a strength of 3, but his gunfire attacks get +2 to range shifts. So it goes from heavy weapons, his gunfire attacks receive, so that shotgun of his is like crazy good. It must be the beard. And then he goes from a gunfire attack of 3 to a gunfire attack of 5. Somebody's watching this who doesn't know I have a giant beard, but that's fine. I have a giant beard. That's why that's funny. Anyway. Hello. All right, we're going to roll. I'm doing gunfire attack of a 5 with Mr. Johnson. Make this count, please. We roll a 9. That's 3 damage. That's great. We flip the 5. It becomes a 4. And there's 1 damage left on it. Is there anything else I can do? Sure, I can use the leadership ability. We'll try to forge again with the civilians. I rolled a 1. Clearly, our early luck with foraging was bound to run out sometime. So we do the housekeeping. Those flip back over. We discard this. We grab the next event card. Is it the special event? It is. You gotta be kidding me. All right, so infection phase, nope. Eat phase, no units in the hospital, that's fine. At the Zeds phase, at the beginning of this phase, place a new Zeds unit on the start space of every track. Apply the stacking limit if necessary. Suburbs track is going to get a Zeds with a level 5. The forest track is going to get a Zeds with a level 6. The mountain track is going to get a Zeds with a level 8. They're getting higher, not lower. Where's the 2? Come on. Oh, the 2's on the board already. And the highway track is a Zeds at a level 9. Yowza. Now we're going to move all hit markers from Zeds units. They are just magically healing themselves in the field. But again, we only wasted 2 hits, which is fine. But one of the reasons I was a little reluctant to using a lot of ammo here, and all of a sudden I pulled that card earlier, would have been really gross. So explain some of my hedging earlier. And now we're going to activate every track. So we activate the suburbs track. The Zeds miles moves from 6th Street to 5th Street. This guy goes from the start space to 6th Street. We activate the forest track. So Zeds mob moves here. Infection level goes up because of hand-to-hand combat. It is a 7 to a 3, so it's times 2 because 7 to a 3 is 2 times plus a little bit. And then we're going to shift because of the terrain and shift because of the well-armed civilians. Now again, this is still the same garbage Zed mob I pulled out of St. Thomas with that plot twist from the Fate card. So you see like how this can really unravel on you quickly, right? And one super bad roll and you're super struggling. So we're doing this. I rolled a 5. Not great. 1 damage to the Zeds mob. I'll put it on the strength of 4. And then 2 damage to our well-armed civilians, and they have to retreat. Fortunately, they get to retreat right into the waiting arms of the Savior Corps. The next thing that we have is the rest of this. So hand-to-hand combat happened, but the rest of these units still are activated. So they're going to move there and there. We activate the mountain track, move, 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 and then last but not least, we activate the highway track. So highway track, they're going to... how do I want to do this? Mr. Johnson gives us some options. A little risky though. It's fine. So when a Zed unit enters a place with multiple player units, you can decide who's actually entering the combat. I could try to do some clever things with Mr. Johnson and setting traps, but if he takes 2 damage, I don't want to lose him. And it's Zed's advantage, so it's not that hard for the human player to take 2 damage in the Zed's advantage situation. So I'm going to have the Zed unit attack this guy. That does trigger hand-to-hand combat, so the infection level goes up again. We're now at level 6, and so it's going to be 4 to 1, so it's clearly Zeds times 3. We get a 10. That's 1 damage to the Zeds, 2 damage to the civilians, and again, we're just going to let them fade away into our memories. And then since they would have had a retreat, any other player unit that was there would just naturally retreat as well. So the civilians who fought died, and Mr. Johnson ran away. And then everything else on that track will also be activated. And now we're done with the Zeds phase. All right, action phase, we get 1 action, which is a trend, it seems. I'm going to use field med stations and take a supply, and we're going to heal up our well-armed civilians 1. Now you can only heal every unit once a round. And again, the infection rate will go down. So I couldn't then do another healing action, even if Mr. Johnson was there or if they were in the hospital. You can only, healing takes time. The rulebook says that in those words, I believe, almost verbatim, or if not, I think actually verbatim. So we did a healing action, and then we can fully heal them again the next turn. But you notice that it went from no tokens on it, and then we flipped it, and now we're putting 1 damage on it, and it can take 1 more heal action to get back to full health. All right, which is kind of it's pretty intuitive once you get a hang of it. How they've worked the damage system here, and it's pretty cool. So what's happening now? We still got my VFW. They're kind of in no man's land right now, but that's fine. I'm going to spend an ammo and a player action to fire with Mr. Johnson. Remember, his ammo gets 2 shifts over, so he has a strength of 3, but he gets 2 terrain shifts because of his heavy weapons. So we're attacking with a 5. He rolls a 4. Oh, it's garbage. So 1 damage to the Zeds. Not ideal. But much better to just wipe them out. I'm going to spend an ammo and an action and attack with Captain Piazza. She's attacking with a weapon level 4. She rolls a 5. 1 damage. And I'll have her back up to east side using her Overwatch. Okay. Not the most inspiring turn I've had, but that's fine. So we're going to refresh that. We're going to refresh this. this event goes away. Now that's a special event. Usually, most of the time, special events are like their own thing, and there is no action phase. This special event in chapter 2, you got to be kidding, is it's kind of a unique special event card among the special event cards that we're going to see here today. So the next event card is Forest Night Assault. So we are going to do the infection phase. The infection level is at a 5. We're rolling. I rolled a 10, so we're good there. Eat. We have no player units in the hospital. And then we go to the Zeds phase. At the beginning of this phase, we get +1 infection level per every Zeds unit on the forest track. There are 4. So we go from level 5 to level 9. That's quite the jump. We're going to get another unit in the forest track start space. And then we activate the forest track. So the forest track, these guys are going to move here. That makes the infection level go up to a level 10. Now, if we get to level 13, we have an unchecked outbreak, which is just like a regular outbreak that happens when we don't roll high enough for the infection level. But instead, that's when we start getting the super Zeds out here. So we went up to a 10 because we're about to do hand-to-hand combat. We do not get terrain shifts. So it is 7 to a 3, which is ×2. It becomes Zed's advantage because of the well-armed, but not because of the terrain shifts. And obviously we're fighting with our civilians and not our savior corps. So we are doing this. Be high. Ooh, a 10 will do 2 damage. So this wipes out this Zed's unit because he already had 1 on him. So now he's dead. And the other one's going to retreat. And that is also 1 damage to the humans. So they will flip back again. And we will heal them again. It's a nice little cycle. So the rest of these guys will now continue to be activated. So this one was a Zed's mob, came back as somebody flying solo, and now the rest of the Zeds on the track will advance. All right, we go to the event phase. We get the action phase. We get 2 event actions. And let's figure out how we want to do this. I'm going to spend the field and this, and we're going to heal our buddies back, which lowers the infection rate. Ding. I just want to wipe that guy out. There's a play I can do with Johnson to try to set a trap. It's a little risky, but I think it's what makes the most sense right now. These guys are still defiant, so I can't even send them back if I wanted to. Alright, Piazza's going to use a bullet in the player action, and she's doing a gunfire attack 3. Let's see if we can't get lucky here and just wipe out one of those Zeds. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. 2 damage. Rolled an 11. So this Zed unit is gone. I can do a forage with the civilians in town center. Why not? So that's going to be an action. Well, before I do that, I'll do the leadership ability. I'll do a forage with these civilians over here. Roll the 4, it gets a supply. Okay, because that's any namespace. 4 or 5 is supply, 6 is an ammo. I'll do a forage with the civilians in town center. They roll the 4, it becomes a 5 because Mayor Hernandez is there. Notice they're only rolling 1 dice. I mean, it's only Johnson that can roll 2. And then Sheriff Hunt. I'm debating using a bullet with him, but I really feel like I'm going to want to save them for Piazza, because I could do an attack of a 4 on this Zed's mob, which is obviously a little concerning. But I get the VFW up there. It's probably right where they need to be, though. All right, I'm going to spend an ammo in this last action. We'll do a gunfire attack of a 4 because it's 2 spaces away because he's firing from 3rd Street to 5th Street. I rolled an 8. So 2 damage. We'll put it on one of those guys. Cool. So we're going to do upkeep phase, housekeeping phase, leadership. That and that all will flip back. We will discard this event card, and we go to the next one. We are in Chapter 3, in the dead of night. Now, it gets interesting. So we skip the 4R phase. we go to the infection phase. The infection level is a 9. I rolled a 5. So what happens? This goes from 9 down to 4. We are going to pull a fate card. Fate card is where? Highway. We have to put another unit, another Zeds unit in the village on the highway track. So we got this Zeds unit in Ingeborg, and that's fine. So we are now going to go to the eat phase. We have no units in the hospital, and we go to the Zeds phase. At the beginning of this phase, +1 infection level per Zeds unit on the highway track. There are now 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we place a new Zeds unit on the highway track start space. Defending units receive no terrain shifts this turn. So we're going to activate the highway track. So this unit comes in. Now, is this going to be normal hand-to-hand combat or not? Ooh, Mr. Johnson's crafty. So Mr. Johnson's going to... Oh, and before that, we get this. So this is a hold for later. Another good one. Play after a Zed unit attacks and wins. Change the combat result from 1 hit to the attacking Zeds in a Zeds retreat, so the Zeds would lose. This comes up huge with some of the special events later, but we might have to use it before that depending on how things play out, which we will see. Alright, so Mr. Johnson has this traps ability. When a Zeds unit or a Zeds mob enters his space, he may roll a die. I will definitely roll a die. If I roll a 4, 5, or a 6, the Zeds unit takes 1 hit and Mr. Johnson withdraws. 1 hit would kill that unit. He would still have to redraw, but this would be really, really nice. So 4, 5, or 6, please. I rolled a 5. Beautiful. So it wasn't hand-to-hand combat, so the infection level does not raise. He withdraws. That 1 hit, though, is enough to kill that Zeds unit, which makes me happy. The rest of the Zeds, though, we're still activating the highway track. We'll all move 1 closer. We have a little bit of a conga line coming from the south east. So Florida. Anyway, we're going to now advance on the forest track. Now this will definitely be a hand-to-hand combat. So we have a Zeds mob now with a strength up of 5. That is hand-to-hand combat. So the Zeds infection rate goes right back up to 9, which is where we started when this mess, when this turn started. So it's a little bit gross. So we're back to a 9. We're going to do it. The Zeds are a 5 to a 3, so that is Zeds advantage. We do not get the terrain shift, but we do get the shift from the well-armed. So it is an equal to fight. Please be good. Oh, that was not good. I rolled a 3. Eesh. All right, so the Zeds win. Everything here has to retreat. So what's going to happen with our civilians? So the civilians are going to take 3 damage. That's enough to kill them. The Savior Corps are going to retreat. Now, I'm doing this a little bit out of order, but just get an idea of what's going on. So this is a well-armed unit. I do want to try to save them. So we're going to make a saving roll. 4, 5, or 6 is good. 1, 2, or 3 is bad. It's a 2. So much for our saving roll. They fought valiantly. They'll be remembered in the annals of history, but they are no longer in this game. So that's fine, I guess. So that goofy little Zeds mob managed to wipe out our well-armed civilians, and now the rest of these guys are going to move forward. Zeds phase is done. Action phase. We get 4 actions. Nice. Taking stock of this board. Oh, there's a lot of things to like. Again, forward rolls for Mr. Johnson. He's still going to get that bonus of the mayor, because again, the +1 counts in a player unit in a town or a town center space, and these are town spaces. So I like that he's there. And the VFW is probably exactly where they need to be. Savior Corps can probably move here. Still got a little bit of a buffer here. Now, again, I could have used this to try to save the well-armed. Guys, there's reasons why I want to hold on to this for later. This card is very, very valuable. And I still have, don't forget, I still have these civilians that have the +1 shift as well because of the civilian leaders banner. So, that's fine. I'm going to spend this player action with the VFW. Now, the VFW, their first gunfire attack each turn costs 0 ammo. It still costs an action. I already spent the action. They're doing a gunfire attack of a 3. And we rolled an 8. That's 2 damage. The weird thing in this situation is that the weak side of that unit is still stronger than the strong side of the other unit. Which, is a thing. It's 4 actions. I'm going to use leadership to have these civilians forage again. We've been doing fine with that, I guess. Another supply, we'll take it. Supplies can come in handy. I have this 1 ammo left, which is gross. We're going to spend an action to forage with Mr. Johnson. He rolls 2 dice. That 3 becomes a 4. The 2 is useless. We get another supply. Really hoping for some ammo here. I'm going to use 2 actions with Captain Piazza and fire an attack of a 3. 3 spaces away. I'm going to use 2 ammo. I use 2 actions, so I don't have to use an ammo because of our ammunition crafting. I rolled a 10. That will do. That's 2 damage on that jerk. And I don't love it, but I can use... And I'm trying not to use the last bullet. Hunt. That Zeds mob can get really nasty pretty quick. Let's forge again with... Johnson, and I just need a 5 or a 6 on one of these 2 die, and I rolled a 1 on the 2, which is just like a 5 or a 6, just the opposite end of the spectrum. So, clearly it's exactly what I wanted. So we're going to refresh these guys. Ugh, this is bad. These guys, well, hopefully the fire strike doesn't activate, but whatever. All right, so housekeeping is done. We're going to discard that event. The next event we get is Tough Zeds. So this is the second Chapter 3 card. Remember, there are 5 Chapter 3 cards total, one of which is the special event. So we are going to roll the infection phase. Our infection level is a 9. And I rolled a 2. Just the worst case scenario. So the infection level goes from a 9 to a 7. We pull a fate card. It is another good one, getting very lucky there. So player's choice, where? We have to put a Zeds unit in player's choice. I'll put it in Lefty's Pass. And that's fine, because again, it goes in the village closest to the town center on whatever track is putting it on. Now we carry out the rest of this. So Killdozer, play this card when a player unit begins hand-to-hand combat, +2 shift for that combat. So those are both really nice cards to have. We do the eat phase. We're eating 1 supply. And now we do the Zeds phase. At the beginning of this phase, place a new Zeds unit on the mountain track start space. Place the tough marker on the strongest regular Zeds unit. And it can cancel damage, just like Sheriff Hunt. And well, I guess you haven't seen that mechanic yet, but basically it will cancel about 50% of the damage it would take. So this guy goes here, and now we have to find the strongest unit in play, which is this one, 9, and it's going to get here. All right, so basically when we attack this unit of a 9, which we'll probably have to in the future, we will have to roll a die for each hit it will take. A 1, 2, or 3, it cancels. 4, 5, 6, again, is always good for the players. Or higher numbers are always good for the players. So we're activating the mountain track twice. The first activation is going to go here. The second activation is going to go here. Still think it was right to put that dude in the pass. I didn't want it in St. Thomas. I didn't want to attack Hunt, and I didn't want to double up Mr. Big Bad over here. So that's fine. We're just gonna have to, we got our work cut out with us for the mountain track. All right, so activations are done. We get 3 actions. So 1, 2, 3. So that we have 3 event actions. And now we have to figure out our life. All right, we're going to use the VFW's ability to fire that using an ammo. So we're spending this player action. We're doing a gunfire attack 3. They're attacking into the farm. They rolled a 4. That's garbage. Oh my god. Yeah, that didn't go as planned. We are going to... Don't want to waste ammo. We're going to use a player action to move into town center. Now we're going to use Citadel to give a firearm action to Captain Piazza. And we're going to combine that with another player action. So that's 2 actions. So we basically, Citadel again gives 1 free action. We're using another action to use Captain Piazza's ammunition crafting. Again, she can combine actions wherever she wants, as long as she gets 2 actions that she has available to her, from whatever combination, she can then use her ability. All right, so we use 2 actions. 1 is Mayor Hernandez, 1 was an event action, and she's going to get to do a normal gunfire attack with 1 additional shift. So she would normally, when she's attacking 2 away, she would be attacking with a 4. Now, because of Citadel, she's attacking with a 5. She's rolling. I rolled a 5, clearly rolling really well. That is 2 damage. That flips with the first damage. The second damage is there, and that's good. And now she will use... I think we need to wipe that guy out. We're going to use an action, the last ammo. She's attacking with an attack of a 4. 7 or higher, please. We rolled an 8, 2 damage. This unit is gone. All right, you're really keeping units away from the 1 and 2 on each thing is really, if you can do that all game, you're going to win, right? It's easier said than done a lot of times, but that was important to let's clear this area out a bit. We're going to use leadership to give our friend the civilians in Beauville a forward action, a 6. We get a bullet back. That was long overdue. All right, we're going to do housekeeping, refresh that and this. And now we're going to go to the next event card. It is Mines Explosion. All right, so we are going to do the infection phase. So 4R we skip, infection phase, no, eat, no. Zeds. At the beginning of this phase, check the mind space. Every unit there takes 1 hit and immediately retreats. So this unit takes a hit and retreats. So the mines have exploded. And we will put a no entry marker there for the rest of the turn. You just can't enter it. It exploded, dude. That's what happened. All right. So we're going to now activate 3 tracks once each. We're activating the mountain track. These Zeds can't move because of the no entry. We're activating the suburbs track. They get a little bit closer to hunt, which is good. And now we're activating the highway track. Great. Action phase. We get 2 event actions. And we can try to figure out what the heck we're doing. Still have this bulldozer. I'm very worried about this highway track. This Zeds mob over here doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy either. The suburbs track is just kind of stalled, which I don't altogether mind. But we do need to start taking care of business a little bit here. So we had the VFW. Let's use it. So I'm going to spend this action. We don't need any ammo. Gunfire attack 3. We just need 1 hit. I rolled a 3. I rolled a 3 again. If I could just knock this guy out, that mob looks so much better. Oh man, that was really gross. Okay, I'm going to use the leadership to do the foraging. It's a 3, not useful. I think we use hunt. Yeah, I'm going to use an action and the last ammo to do a gunfire attack of a 5. Yeah, that's fine. A gunfire attack of a 5 with hunt, so we're attacking the 2 units in 4th Street. I rolled an 11. That's better. 3 damage. So this guy's going to flip and get 2 damage on him. I like that a little bit better than what was going on before. And then we're going to use Citadel and the last action to take advantage of ammunition crafting And Piazza's attacking with a 3 because they're 3 spaces away. We're going to make it a 4. Let's start cutting down that Zeds mob a little bit. I rolled a 4. Oh my gosh. Woo! Alright. 3s and 4s are not how to win this game, in case you were wondering. Alright, we're going to refresh our actions. And then we're going to get to the next event, which is probably... No! Hello. Alright, so we know the next one is the special event, and that really helps planning for that. A hero arrives. This is good. We're going to go to the infection phase. We are at infection level 7. We are going to roll. I rolled a 10, so we're good with infections. We don't have to eat. We're activating 3 tracks in the Zeds phase. 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 of those move in the highway track, activating the suburbs track. Cool. They're coming in. All right. It's a 10 combined for that Zeds mob to a 5. So that's Zeds times 2. And then I have a terrain shift, so I give it Zeds advantage. Now I'm going to... Infection rate goes up because it's hand-to-hand combat. Sheriff Hunt does have martial arts training, so he is allowed 1 reroll. But if you reroll and it's bad, better or worse, you are stuck with it either way. I mean, I have Killdozer and Grim Determination, but now I'm going to be a little stubborn here. We'll go with the Zed's advantage. Hope for a big roll. There you go. 8. So 2 damage. So I kill this guy and get 1 wound in this guy. This 6 is going to back up. 2 damage to Sheriff Hunt. So high rolls. He's tough. We can hopefully cancel it. I rolled a 3. Nope, didn't cancel that one. So that's 1 wound. And I rolled a 5. He does cancel the second one. All right. So we activated the suburbs track. We still have to activate this unit. So that just joins up. We have a new Zeds mob now. And now we activate the forest track. So these guys are going to come in here. There's no terrain shift. Of course there's not. It's going to be a 5 to a 3. I will fight it with the VFW. It's Zed's advantage. It's another hand-to-hand. So we go to infection level 9. And so it's a 5. Yeah, it's a 5 to a 3, right? Yeah. I wish this dude was dead 12 times over. I rolled an 11. That's fine. 2 damage. So this guy's dead. This guy backs up. 1 damage to the VFW. And then new Zeds mob and that. Alright, so at least I'm rolling well in hand-to-hands, even if I'm rolling like utter garbage in my gunshots. Whatever. Now we go to the hero arrives. So we get 2 event actions, and at the beginning of this phase, place a new random available hero unit in either town center or any start space. Yes, please. So who do we have? We have Deputy Schmidt. So Deputy Schmidt comes in like a knight in shining armor on a white horse that he is, and that is glorious. So we'll try to make some room for the big bad deputy, because amazingly I haven't had any of my heroes die yet, which isn't always the case. So we only have 2 actions. Sheriff Hunt out here is a little bit wounded. I'm going to use the field med stations. Man, I want to heal Hunt is what I want to do. All right, let's spend 1 action. Well, spend 1 action to move Hunt. 3, 4. So this is cool. So he can move 1, 2, 3. This isn't a movement. And 4. Let's put him right to the hospital. Right? Might be time for a speech. Mayor Hernandez might be feeling a speech. Yeah, we'll do this field. That's a problem. Yeah, really short on actions. All right, we're going to do another action to get the VFW in here, and we're getting another action to get the Savior Corpse in here. We're going to do the field stations and the supply to heal sheriff. Infection level goes down. He comes back out. So that's just a free. Once they're in the hospital, then you could just move them freely at any point. So you can move into the hospital like I did there, but you can discharge. It's just a free thing. It doesn't cost an action. You don't have to be in the middle of a move. All right. So we still have initiative. I'm gonna do the motivational. Oh, we have still have Citadel too, and we still have leadership. So I'm gonna use leadership to do the foraging action with the civilians that are still there. Roll the 4, we get another supply. Not the ammo I was hoping for, but it will do. The VFW still hasn't made a gunshot attack. That's fine. We're going to do the motivational speech because things are getting crowded. So first is Deputy Schmidt. I know I still have his initiative. That's purposeful. So Deputy Schmidt is going to come in here. He's going to attack these guys. Infection level up. It's a 4 to a 4. Now, however, so we didn't go through his abilities. So once per action, he receives a character action to spend on his unit only. So we still have this initiative action. He receives +1 terrain shift in all hand-to-hand combat. He's also tough in martial arts like Sheriff Hunt. So again, he can cancel 50% of his damage and he can re-roll if his roll is really bad. And then he has some other ability for a versus game, which obviously we're not playing. So I already raised the infection rate. It is equal to, because it's strength 4 to strength 4, but because of his Eagle Scout abilities, Mr. Eagle Scout becomes Mr. Human Advantage. We're rolling. We rolled a 7. Sure, 7's gonna work. We do 2 damage to the Zeds unit, and they have to retreat. It's 1 damage to Deputy Schmidt. Now, he could try to cancel. He rolls a 5. He does cancel it, and that's nice. That will do. We're going to use the initiative thing to have him back up. He's going to join Johnson downtown. So I kind of did that. I should have done all the motivational speeches, but ultimately that's what I was going to do with Deputy Schmidt. Anyway, Sheriff Hunt now has an action to use because of the motivational speech. He is going to... We just need bullets, man. So he's going to forage. He rolls a 1. That didn't work. Mr. Johnson, he gets a motivation because he's on a town space. He's going to forage. He rolls 2 dice. The 4 becomes a 5. We get a supply. Captain Piazza, she's going to forage because I really have nothing else I can do right now because I don't have any ammo. She rolls a 4, becomes a 5. We have more supplies than we need. What is going on? The VFW local, they're going to forage. The 2 becomes a 3, doesn't help. The Savior's Corpse, they're going to forage. 5 becomes a 6. We get a gun, we get a bullet. And then we still have 1 civilian unit in there. So motivational speech affects all these people. And you see why it's only a once a game thing. And we're going to forage with the civilians. Yeah, they're not going to do anything else useful right now. That's fine. They roll a 1. That's fine. We still have Citadel if you want to take advantage of that. Sure. So Citadel, we're going to give Captain Piazza a free gunfire action, and she'll use the 1 ammo we got, and she's going to be attacking with her normal attack +1, so it'll be a 3. We'll have her attack up here because we got a bunch of things going on here. So it's 3 away, so it's a strength of 3, and then because of the Citadel ability, it becomes a strength of 4. And I didn't roll a 3 or 4 this time, which is good. We get 2 damage, and I'll put it on this Zeds unit there. All right, so we are going to do housekeeping. All these refresh. A lot of actions we were able to use that turn, and now we're gonna discard this event, and lo and behold, we get the special event. Brains. All right. We go step 1. Conduct this special turn only. Z we ignore. That's definitely, I think, for definitely. I think, I'm pretty sure that's for versus play, which we're not doing, or that cooperative play, which we're not doing. We get 1 added to the infection level. All tracks activate with each Zeds unit eventing one space only. However, if a Zeds unit activation results in the combat that it wins, it immediately advances again. Notice I have left myself a nice buffer because I did not want that to happen. Because brains can basically march all the way into your town center. And again, town center, there is no defense, there is no die rolling, there is just crying because you have lost. The only problem I do have right now is this Defiant guy, and hopefully they just die and this Zeds mob doesn't get any much closer. All right. So we're going to activate the suburbs track. This goes here. Defiant track marker is finally gone. The infection level goes to 11. So we're really close to an unchecked outbreak. It is definitely ×3 for the Zeds. We're rolling. I rolled a 4. That's 5 damage. This unit is very dead. That's fine. Since they won, they attack again. And they activate again, and that's where they will stop. So I'm glad we died, because if I had been rolling well, you could have seen how this Zeds mob might have been marching all the way to our demise. So we're going to activate the forest track. They go there, and now we activate. This can go away. That was from a couple of rounds ago. Activate the mountain track, and we will activate the highway track. And we have this tough Zeds, which is going to be a giant pain, but we are, fortunately, he's still a little bit away from where we're at. And this Zeds mob, if we keep that around, then he'll never have a space to get in there. So there's some strategies that we might be able to use there. Now notice that this is a normal special event card. Like before, I was saying we actually had an action phase. No action phase. Chapter 3 is done, and now we go to Chapter 4. We could definitely get back-to-back brains, which would be definitely very, 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 very bad. But fortunately we didn't. All right, keep calm and kill Zeds. We are in Chapter 4. So there are 3 non-special events in Chapter 4 and 1 special event. We have to do the infection phase. We are up to level 11, which is awesome. So pretty much going to have an outbreak. I rolled a 6. The 11 goes down to a 5. We pull a fate card. It's a bad one. Actually not that bad for where we're at. So we just look at this for the where. And the where says we are going to do an outbreak in the forest track. We have to add a Zeds unit to the village closest to town center, and it will go right to St. Thomas. Fine. Now we do the plot twist. We immediately suffer -2 supplies, -1 ammo. We had no ammo anyway. There is no penalty if you don't have enough to lose the entire amounts. Great. So infection phase is done. Eat phase is done. Mountain phase activates the Zeds phase. We activate the mountains. We activate the highway. Yikes. All right. So we go to downtown. We will defend with Deputy Schmidt. Make yourself useful, sir. So we are at Zeds advantage. It's Zeds ×2 because it's a Zeds mob of an 8 to a Deputy Schmidt strength of a 4. But it is a double terrain shift. So it goes to Zeds advantage equal to, and don't forget, our friend Deputy Schmidt is an Eagle Scout, so it goes to human advantage. Oh, hand-to-hand combat, that also shifts up to a 6. So we are going to go with Deputy Schmidt, human advantage. We have 2 rolls of this because he has martial arts training, because what Eagle Scout doesn't, and he rolls a 10. He's like, I don't even need my martial arts training. I get it right the first time. Yeehaw. So we roll a 10. That is 3 damage to this mob. That's going to flip this guy, and he's got 1 health left, and they just return, and no damage to Deputy Schmidt. Doesn't even have to do his tough rolls, and that's fine. The coolest thing about that is the rest of the track needs to activate. Oh, Mr. Tough Zeds himself can't get forward. He's going to chill back there. Nothing else advances. Zeds phase is done. Kumbaya. 2 event actions in the action phase, and we can move on. Now, at the beginning of this phase, this is the event. Select 1 hero unit in play. It receives 2 terrain shifts or 2 shifts on these charts when attacking in hand-to-hand combat for this turn only. Cool. So, who do we want to give this to? I think we give it to our pal Sheriff Hunt, because he can take care of those guys in East Side, and that is huge. I'm going to put this reminder on him so we remember that there's something funny with him right now, and that's because he's going to keep calm and go kill himself some Zeds. Like to see it. We are going to go to our actions. What's going on in the actions? This is bad, obviously. Everything's looking not awful. But we know we still have a brains in there, so things can change quick. These guys are at 2. So this one at 1 is the biggest problem. They're all the way out at 3. So if we kill these guys, pretty much okay with the mountain track from there on out. So 5, 2, oh, it's still at 12. Ooh. Yikes. All right, so the VFW is in town center, which is nice. So we'll use the Citadel, and the first gunfire attack of the VFW, they don't have to use ammo. So it's good because we don't have any ammo, right? So it says, hey, Citadel, you still have to use ammo, except with the VFW, because their first attack, they don't have to use ammo. So, and that's our action. So they're going to do a gunfire attack, plus with Citadel, they get +1 shift to their attack. So they're attacking with a 4 against those clowns. They get a 5. 1 damage is enough to flip this dude. Which is kind of all I needed to happen, to be honest. So that's fine. We're going to do the leadership. Leadership with forage. 5 or 6, please. Yes, we get ammo. Then we just have to go for it. So we're going to do a player action with Sheriff Hunt. He's going to go in here. Infection level goes up. It is a 9 to a 5, so it's Zed's advantage. And then it goes equal to, and then human advantage again because of the event now. So he's attacking. He rolls a 7. Human advantage, 7, that's fine. So we'll put 2 damage on this one. They retreat. Be 1 damage to Sheriff Hunt, but he can hopefully cancel it. He does not. He will flip. So it'll be Zed's advantage. Sheriff Hunt's going to go again. He goes in. Infection level up because it's hand-to-hand combat. It is Zed's times 3 because it's a 9 to a 3, so not being able to cancel that wound was not great, but it only becomes Zed's advantage. We get 2 shots at it. Please be high. It's a 7. 1 damage. That's fine. I mean, it could be worse. If I rolled really bad, it could be worse. It's hard to get much better. So the 7 kills this Zeds. The Zeds still win. So Sheriff Hunt still has to retreat, but he has 2 hits. He cancels the first. Can he cancel the second? He cancels the second. Since I did a saving roll, the infection level goes up, and we put an EKG on him. So this is the first time we did a saving roll successfully. So you see what the EKG does. Great. So he's chilling in the hospital now. But we were able to push this guy back to there, and it's only down to a strength of a 4, which is way better. We're going to use the field med stations and a supply. We're going to heal Sheriff Hunt. The infection level comes down. So when you heal him, you just take the EKG off. Now, if it was a unit that had multiple hits on each side, you would take an EKG off and you would actually put on like a damage, and then you could further heal it. But right now, Sheriff Hunt, we'll probably leave him there. Maybe try to heal him again next turn. We have all these supplies because I kept rolling supplies and not ammo. We can use the Savior Corpse, keep the infection level lower. It might actually help us out. So what's going on now? We still have Deputy Schmidt's initiative, and we have the Killdozer. All right, we're going to... VFW has the thing where they don't lose battles, so we're going to spend this action. We need to get a buffer between town center and where those Zeds are. We still have the 1 ammo and this initiative thing, so let's do that. So we're going to use initiative and the ammo, and Deputy Schmidt is attacking with a 4. Yeah, because I couldn't use Piazza because again, it's the only reason I have this action is Deputy Smith initiative. Attacking with a 4, rolls a 9. So a strength gunfire attack of a strength of 4, roll a 9, so that's going to be 2 damage. It kills that unit and puts 1 damage on this unit. All right, housekeeping. These all refresh. We're going to discard this, and we get the next event card, Brains. We have, this is the special event. We have 2 other events, and then the end card, and see what happens. So this special turn only, so Z we can ignore. Infection level goes up twice. All tracks activate with units moving once each. So these units move. These units move. This unit moves. It causes hand-to-hand combat. We get to infection level 11. So it is a 4 to a 3. So that's Zed's advantage. It becomes human advantage because the terrain shift is 2. The VFW is going to roll an 8. They win gloriously. So 3 damage. This one flips and moves back. 1 damage to the VFW. They will flip, and they are now on their reduced side. That's fine. Still adjacent to the field. The Savior Corpse and get healed. Then we will activate those guys lagging from behind. And now we go to downtown. This unit comes in here. Oh, the tough unit is very close in our face. So what's going to happen? We are, infection level goes up to 12. We're going to defend with Deputy Schmidt. It's equal to, but he's an Eagle Scout, so it's human advantage. No, he gets +2 shift because he's downtown. So it's human times 3. He rolls a 5. I mean, it can't. No, we're going to go again because he can. And we rolled a 7. That's better. 3 damage. So this retreats and flips. And then the tough, super tough Zed comes in, and this comes in. So Zed didn't win anywhere. And now that event is done. The special turn is over, and we go to the next event card. And what is it? Oh, it's so gross. Oh, you're kidding me. Oh, my suburbs flank was open. Oh, it's really bad. Yeah, it was like the brains. Oh, it's so bad. Here, so they mines, they moved, brains moved twice, and then they moved, and they moved twice. Oh, so bad. Well, I can't win. Ah, I thought I had this one too. I still got the Killdozer and I still got the Grim Determination. That order just came out weird. Oh, man. Well, I'll play out the strings. So we do a infection roll. I said 12. I can't roll higher than a 12. Comes down. We take an event card. Nope, not an event card. A fake card. Oof. Where highway. We have to pull the Zeds. We put the Zeds on the village base on the highway track. And then we take a look at this infected vermin. This is the plot twist. We place the infected vermin marker on the start space of the track of the most Zed units. It is this track. Well, they're both the same. What am I activating? It doesn't matter. So we put that there. So the disease spreader is a thing. It messes with the infection track. So if this guy is ever, it just basically looks like a rat. It's like just a vermin looking like thing. if it's ever not on the start space, then this goes up every round that's not on the start space, and it's hard to kill. And it doesn't, stacking limits don't apply. There's a bunch of things with it, but it's you know, it's a cool little twist. When it comes out early, it's like kind of a pain to deal with. But so that was the infection phase. That's done. And now we're going to go to the eat phase. We have 1 unit in a hospital. I rolled more than a 1. That's fine. Zeds phase. Activate this. It causes hand-to-hand combat. It is, I will defend with Deputy Schmidt. It is a 10, combined 10 to a 4, so that's 2 damage. I'm sorry, that's 2 damage times 2, but Eagle Scout and then 2 shifts for the terrain. So we're rolling, it becomes human advantage. We roll a 10, that's 3 damage, so we can kill this guy. Bonus to killing them because of the weaker units are magically replaced near the end of this game. And then I could add 1 hit to Super Zeds, but I'm sorry, to the Tough Zeds. Let's see if they cancel it. They rolled a 2. They did cancel it, but it does have to retreat. And then this guy comes in with a stacking limit. And this guy also will move. And now we activate the suburbs, track twice. 1 and 2. That's so sad. Oh man, I should have seen it. I should have seen it. I mean, it was out here. You're not figuring that you're gonna have. It's not gonna be normal. It's not often that Zeds are gonna move 3 without you having a chance to respond. But the brains will do that. Is I could have actually had this guy here because I'm still sitting on this grim determination. Right, I mean, they come in, they attack. Even if they win, I could still send them back. We really had a good shot at this one. Now, this is the event I was actually talking about too. So replace all regular Zed units in play that are currently strength 3 or less. So that's either side. If they're on the weak side, 3 or less. The stronger side, 3 or less. Then you replace them with a new full strength unit. So like this guy would have gone. This guy would have gone. That's it. The rest are 5s and 6s. But I mean, if we had survived that, the next event, yeah, we're pretty good. I mean, we got Deputy Schmidt there. We got the VFW, which can basically say no, I don't lose. And then the end event, highway track would have triggered twice. Man, those tough Zeds, man. That's a really rough. We got that pretty early. That's a really rough situation. I mean, I've definitely had games where you're just trying to kill this one Zeds as he's marching toward town center, where I ended up doing 15, 18 damage on it and just kept being canceled, and it can really derail a game. But this is a good one, man. This is it's a fun game. It's tightly wound. You have just a lot of interesting interplay with the characters. I've definitely spent more time than I would have hoped, like scavenging Board Game Geek for some foraging. I should use foraging Board Game Geek for some like rules clarifications, but they're there. You just gotta do the work. I mean, it is what it is. It's annoying, but I don't know. One day I'll understand why it's so hard to like write a good rule book, but it is what it is. I mean, it's just there's just some weird ambiguities. Like again, the idea: can you use Captain Piazza's ammunition crafting in conjunction with the Citadel ability of Mayor Hernandez? I mean, that's something that it should be pretty obvious that that's going to be a player's question. To me, like it was my first game, and I'm like, yeah, can I do that? So I think it's just like a playtesting thing where it's just like, hey, like what if people are asking these questions? Why is there not a place to turn? I also had a hard time finding a really comprehensive FAQ for this game. It's something I really like to get, but I think that it's more normal. If a game has a newer edition, like this is the 3rd edition, sometimes it's just harder to find something more comprehensive, and you just get sucked up into these old threads of games that kind of predate it. But I'm excited to get deeper in it. I mean, I've definitely beaten this challenge on my own. The next levels, I mean, the new characters look awesome. And like there's some they look like they're going to add some nice wrinkles. The new event cards would look fun. There are some conversations I've seen where in some ways they make this game a little easier, which it fine by me. It's very difficult, which is good. There's barricades. There's this whole train expansion, which I may or may not get to in the next couple of videos. It'll probably be 3 or 4 videos away before we actually kind of put that content in here. But there's a lot here to like, a lot here to kind of have fun with. It's just goofy and light, and I can take Mr. Eagle Scout and the scavenger, Mr. Johnson, and the mayor in his speech, and try to save our poor town from certain demise at the hands of a bunch of zombies. It's fun. I really like it. These zombies I like. Zombies in Shades of Tesla seem a little forced, but this one I like a lot more. On the zombie score, this game is still not Maze Night. Like, I don't want to get misquoted on that, but it's a very, very fun experience, and glad it was recommended to me by someone on this very channel. So look, any other recommendations people want to give me, comments, questions, epiphanies, thoughts, strategies that might be lost on me still in this game. Obviously, if I did a rules mistake wrong here or there, please let me know. I do find that helpful, and it makes me feel like I don't mind it. I like that people care enough to watch and notice the little things. It's how we all get better at these super complicated games that we all love so much. So that is about it. I will be back next week. Obviously with whatever, we got some Maze Night coming up. We're still obviously we'll be going back to Spirit Island and working through our things there. I have live playthroughs of the Dunwich Legacy expansion will be starting soon. So for you Arkham fans, tune in on Wednesday nights for that. But Wednesdays at 6, every other Wednesday at 6, I should say. Sundays at 9. That is the schedule if you don't know by now. And if you want to see what's coming up, you can see a definitive answer of that. Go to my Patreon page. The link is below. I make a public post every month with the schedule so you can see what's coming up and what you don't want to miss. And until next time, happy gaming.